Here's a number that should stop you cold. 87% of nuclear reactors built worldwide since 2017 are based on Russian and Chinese designs. The country that invented commercial nuclear power gave that ground away, but the people who want it back are moving, and they're moving fast. My guest today oversees all of Bechtel's nuclear power projects. He is actively building America's next reactor right now, a next generation design in Wyoming that could be the template for everything that comes after. And he has a very clear-eyed view of what's broken and what has to change. I am Dominique Cooper. This is Advanced Nuclear. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Advanced Nuclear, the official podcast of UCAN Power, where leading experts, innovators, and policymakers explore the latest developments shaping the future of nuclear energy.
Welcome to Advanced Nuclear, the official podcast of UCAN Power, where we talk to the people building the energy future the world actually needs. Cleaner, more reliable, more secure power through advanced nuclear technology. I am your host, Dominique Cooper. Today's guest is Felice Presti, and his resume reads like a tour of the most consequential infrastructure projects in America. He spent years managing the Hanford nuclear waste cleanup, one of the most complex engineering challenges on Earth. He earned the Department of Energy's Secretary's Achievement Award for his work there, then pivoted to help NASA build a launch structure for the rocket that could one day take humans back to the moon. And now he's back in nuclear as the Senior Vice President and Operations Manager for Nuclear Power at Bechtel, overseeing the company's entire nuclear project portfolio, from the completion of Plant Vogtle to the construction of TerraPower's groundbreaking Natrium reactor in Wyoming, to the development of Poland's very first nuclear power plant. If you want to understand what the nuclear renaissance looks like, when it's not just a talking point, when it's actually concrete in the ground and workers on site, Felice is the person to talk to. Felice, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dominic. Really look forward to this.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I would like to quickly note the views expressed in this conversation are Felice's own.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm really excited to share that with you. I think the chapter ahead for all of us in nuclear is exciting. The opportunities are endless. And yes, we have some challenges, but they're all solvable.
I totally agree. All right, so let's get into who you are. You have a doctorate in fluid dynamics from Liverpool. You've worked on nuclear waste cleanup, a NASA launch structure, and now you're running nuclear power at Bechtel. As a person with a non-traditional career path, I can recognize a mosaic of career experiences. You've undeniably seen and done a lot. Can you walk me through your personal why? What's the thread that connects all of it for you?
Yeah, Dominic, when I started my career very early on in engineering, I always liked to have, see things being built, how they worked. I was always intrigued by that. But I started working on very large projects from an early age. So my career in EPC extends to about 30 years. 22 of that was with Bechtel. About half of that is in nuclear. And watching these really large projects transform communities, transform the world that we live in, change the landscape of where we do work, and the impact that it has on the lives of so many people is really phenomenal. Really, really phenomenal. And in my current role right now, I'm directly responsible for all aspects of nuclear power execution in Bechtel, including our investments in talent and execution planning. But just something that I like to put a plug in with Bechtel, if that's okay, Dominique.
Go for it.
Yeah, we're 128 years old. It's a private company with family leadership, fifth generation. The company has been very successful, typically the largest engineering and construction company in America. And in that time, we've helped customers complete over 25,000 projects in 160 countries in every single continent. And we have this motto in the company which states, we live for a challenge. which means that we really choose projects that have a lot of purpose, that have a lot of positive, meaningful impact on our world, whether it's improving the quality of our lives, whether it's fostering economic growth, promoting sustainable development. And you see that on a lot of our projects, whether it's providing clean, efficient energy transportation systems or sustainable energy solutions, to advanced manufacturing, to critical minerals in our mining and metals business, energy infrastructure, vital national security system. It goes on and on and on. And we also feel like we do what others can't do, and meaning that we take on very complex mega projects that address some of the world's greatest challenges, and we help to solve them. I'm fortunate enough to be working with some of the best inspiring talent that we have in our field today, across the globe. We're working today on 33 countries around the clock. So to be part of that is pretty cool.
I must agree. 128 years old. That's remarkable. Now, for the people who may not know Bechtel and even the nuclear world, the full scope is, as I alluded to earlier, it's remarkable. Can you tell me about Bechtel, the company, and specifically what you do as operations manager for the nuclear power business line?
Yeah, Dominique, my role as operations manager is very much about how we set up our jobs from the start to be successful. So from the leadership selection, talent growth, execution planning, it's really all of that. And all of our investments in people, in talent, is what I'm really responsible for. Now, luckily, we have a deep history in nuclear. Our history in nuclear extends over 70 years. We worked on over 150 nuclear projects around the world. We've actually built over 80% of the US nuclear fleet. We've got tremendous history. It's a big part of actually who we are today. So I have all of that to lean on. And obviously, with this next generation of technology advancements and investments, we're leveraging all of that so that we can really bring that to the fore, to the bear here in our nuclear industry today.
You know what? That's a great lead into my next question. Bechtel supported Georgia Power in bringing Vogtle units 3 and 4 online, the first new reactors in the U.S. in over 30 years. What was Bechtel's role, and what do you think the industry learned from that project?
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that question. Our role, on Vogtle, I'll start by saying it was a very tough project. There was a lot of lessons that were learned, but on the contrary to that, those lessons are only going to make the next AP1000 reactor go much faster and cheaper. And it's all about getting it right from the start. So we came in mid-construction. We stepped in as a constructor. And we brought the project over the finishing line where others were not able to. And we continue to deliver today in nuclear, building on our history. So probably the number one lesson learned that we hear quite a lot about is ensuring your design is finished before you actually start construction. The consequences of not doing this are pretty significant. The ripple effects that you see throughout the entire project, including the supply chain, the craft workforce, the regulators, is pretty significant. So on all our projects today, we focus on design maturity, and we couple that with integrated execution, which is critical if you want the project to be successful. So looking at Vogtle now that Vogtle is complete, the next large-scale reactor has the advantage of the fact that you have a mature, standardized design because we know it works, and it works really well. So all the future builds have a major head start now with greater predictability. We also do integrated EPC, meaning that in Bechtel, we don't separate engineering from procurement and separate from construction. It's fully integrated. That was not how it was done on Vogtle. On Poland, for example, today, we are working in a fully integrated EPC model in a consortium with Westinghouse. And when we build nuclear power plants, we always do it in this way. We always integrate the EPC. That's the big lesson learned on Vogtle and a big advantage that we have here moving forwards. And when you seamlessly integrate all aspects of delivery, you're helping to make optimal decisions. You're doing it much faster. There's just no handoffs, just integrated solutions. The other thing was you got to establish a very consistent supply chain for AP1000 components. That's with qualified vendors and nuclear grade manufacturing capability. And that's really key to delivering future reactors faster, more efficiently, and to the required standards, and ensuring their readiness and confidence in their delivery before you place that first concrete is really critical if you want to build cost and schedule certainty. You don't want to start a job and then find out you have those challenges partway through. You also need to invest in the workforce development. You have to do that by starting early and train for the long term, and you train to build careers. Training is not just in time. You got to plan workforce pipelines up front. You got to get people vested in the industry who want to make careers with it, so that when they finish the first unit, then they move on to the second unit. They know they're part of something special going forward. So start early, train for careers. And then you've got to have a robust lessons learned program. These jobs are huge and they're complex, but they're very good. They have the benefits of the industry are massive. The lessons that we learned from Vogtle Unit 3 that were applied to Unit 4 resulted in efficiencies of 30%, which are pretty significant. And that's only in construction, because that was our scope. So you imagine how that would look like if you were able to apply that to engineering and procurement and eventually into future replication. And those plants today, Dominique, are running extremely well at and above their nameplate capacity, which is something the industry should be really proud of.
Oh my gosh, Felice, you shared, a bunch of what I personally call nuggets of wisdom, just based on, what you've seen and what you guys have experienced. And I just want to highlight that really quick for our listeners. You've built over 80% of the U.S. nuclear fleet. And I'd say the biggest takeaway from, what you just shared is ensuring your design is finished before construction. And you talked about design maturity, right? How important that is. And couple that with integrated execution. I also love the expression, start early, and train for careers. I love that. So knowing that nuclear is having a moment unlike anything in 50 years, it's exciting. Even if you're not in the nuclear space, if you just are watching the news in some capacity, it's very exciting. So you've been in this industry long enough to have seen the years where nobody was building anything. Why, or what is causing this shift in your opinion? And what do you think is actually different this time?
Yeah, I just want to reinforce what you just said, Dominique. Nuclear for sure stands at a genuine inflection point today. The demand signals are real. You're seeing soaring electricity demand driven by, artificial intelligence and rising geopolitical risks, and which have all underscored the need for energy that is clean, that is safe, that is reliable, that is abundant, all four boxes that nuclear checks today. And also the policy environment is more supportive than it's ever been in decades. You've got, executive orders, favorable DOE loans, tax incentives, permit reforms, intergovernment investments, intergovernment agreements. The signals are really loud and really clear. And, and then you couple that with the fact that the reactor designs today have substantially matured. They're very, very safe. To me, there's no doubt about nuclear. Everybody is now betting on it.
It's interesting you say that, because a lot of people ask whether it's actually feasible to build 10 large-scale nuclear facilities at once in the U.S., given reported skill shortages. How do you see the skilled trades and the craft workforce landscape today, and what are the challenges ahead?
Yeah, great question, Dominique. Before we discuss the challenges, let me just start by highlighting some of the benefits of nuclear to the industry. And they go from job creation to national security, advancing technology, solidifying the U.S. Strong industrial base. And that's just to name a few, right? So there's a lot to be excited about, but underpinning all of this is having a strong workforce. So there's no secret right now, Dominique, that the demand for craft professional far exceeds supply nationwide. I've seen estimates as high as shortfalls of 3 million craft professionals in the next 5 years, with some critical gaps in electricians, pipe fitters, and welders. So the pessimists may call this a perfect storm of challenges with an inevitably unhappy ending. However, we should also look at this as the perfect opportunity to accomplish great things. But that can only be realized if industry and government unite on this to make it happen.
Oh my gosh, you are absolutely right. Again, I wanted to highlight something that you said a few moments ago, underpinning the strong industrial base, like what we are endeavoring to do to ensure that we remain strong as a nation, is investment into skilled workers, right? That is imperative. Building out the workforce, investing in the workforce. Now, with many industries competing for the same people in construction and semiconductor fabs, data centers, how is a company like Bechtel navigating this workforce challenge?
Yeah, everything passes through the hands of our craft professionals. So hats off to them. They build our visions. They make it happen in the field. And on a nuclear build, thousands of highly trained workers are going to be needed, particularly in specialist trades where their capability can take years to develop. So with that said, our LNG experience offers some really useful perspective on what's possible at scale. So today, Bechtel employs more than 20,000 craft professionals on our payroll across the Gulf Coast on our LNG jobs, which are enough to start building several AP1000 reactors. And look, the workforce challenge is real, no question about it, but it is solvable. And it's solvable by organizations that have already built the pipelines, the training infrastructure, the institutional knowledge to staff at scale. On Vogtle, for example, we peaked at around 8,000 to 9,000 craft professionals, but we trained over 30,000 professionals that are now out there in our industry. So it is absolutely doable. So we have 3 pillars or work streams to address this. One of the work streams is what we call build smart. How do we do more with less without impacting quality or safety? How do we improve productivity and time on tools? Which technologies can really help with that, whether it's physical automation, robotics, or AI? So, we're already doing a lot of this today on our projects, including digital delivery, investing in various technologies to bring those efficiencies to bear. The other work stream we have is Build Now, which is about attracting, training, and retaining craft. We draw on databases of more than 100,000 craft professionals. We attract millions of followers on various social media platforms. Last year, we received over 180,000 applications, more than any U.S. builder. We invest in craft professionals just as we do with professional staff. We provide strong development and leadership programs for our craft, solid career maps, and really good reward and recognition programs. We really, truly value our craft professional workforce, which is really, really important. And then the other work stream is building for the future. And that is about investing in systems that create interest in our industry, that make construction cool again. It's about changing the narrative about the benefits of construction so it becomes a desirable career path. We need to start early and introduce more practical skills and hands-on experience. In Wyoming, for example, at a Natrium plant, we've outfit community colleges with better equipment and tools to train our workforce. We need everyone across the industry to wear hard hats and steel toe boots proudly. We want the new generation to know that a construction uniform represents a bright and rewarding future. And this can only start, this is only the start, rather. And there's a lot that needs to happen here, but we'll certainly do our part to do everything we can here, Dominique.
Oh my gosh. So, the expression around nuclear these days is, making nuclear cool again. And you've, added to that, making construction cool again. And the funny thing is that I was going to ask you a question about, how are you guys making it a bit more desirable as a career path, especially for young people, but you've already addressed that. And so I want to highlight again, some amazing things that you've shared thus far. You talked about the three streams or ways you're tackling the workforce challenge. And you talk about building smart, building now, building for the future. And all of that to me just alludes to Bechtel making that investment, right? Like you are actually taking action towards tackling that workforce challenge. I always believe and appreciate the expression or the old adage, actions, they always speak louder than words, right? And you guys are definitely being actionable. So thank you so much for that. I also, for my listeners out there, hey guys, Felice mentioned, he said, everything passes through the hands of our craft professionals. So guys, what I'm hearing is that there are a lot of opportunities brewing at Bechtel for craft professionals. So make sure you connect and keep in touch and follow what Bechtel's doing.
Thank you for that.
I want to transition to Wyoming, the Natrium plant with TerraPower. Can you give us the background? What is Natrium and why does this project matter for the nation's energy future? And where does the construction stand right now?
Yeah, well, we're certainly a proud partner of TerraPower, and they've got this vision, which is to shape the landscape of sustainable energy using their advanced reactor technology that is safe and very cost effective. So today we're supporting TerraPower with many aspects of design and procurement, pretty much all of the construction activities at their first of a kind Natrium plant at the Kemmerer site in Wyoming. Great place to visit if you want to go take a look. It really is. The Natrium technology itself features a 345 megawatt sodium cooled fast reactor, and that's combined with a molten salt based storage system. And that's the innovative piece. They have an innovative storage technology which allows them to boost the system's output from 345 megawatts to over 500 megawatts, which can power over 400,000 homes. And today we've proudly mobilized in the field. We started the construction of the test and fill facility, which will test and demonstrate the performance of first-of-a-kind equipment prior to going into operations. And we've also started the construction and earthworks at undergrounds and the foundation of the Kemmerer Training Center, which is going to be a 30,000 square foot facility to support operator training for the Natrium reactor fleet going forwards. And in the next few months, we're going to start to continue to ramp up in the field and really start to peak out towards the end of next year as we start to do the earthworks and get ready for first nuclear concrete.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you guys are doing so many exciting things around nuclear. This is what I love to hear. So let's switch to Poland. Bechtel is providing engineering and construction services for Poland's first nuclear plant. Can you tell us about that project and what it means for the U.S. nuclear leadership internationally?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is Poland's first ever nuclear power plant. It's the largest infrastructure project in Poland's history and probably one of the most significant energy projects underway in Europe right now. It also shows how U.S. companies can very quickly mobilize to deliver complex nuclear infrastructure for our allies. The project itself is 3 AP1000 gigawatt reactors, so pretty large. It's based on the Westinghouse reference plant design that was successfully used at Vogtle. It's been modified for EU codes and standards, but it's pretty much the reference plant design at Vogtle. The plant itself is being built at Lubiatovo, Kopalino site, which is in the northern region of Poland, a beautiful area out there near the Baltic Sea.
Oh.
We're working in a fully integrated consortium with Westinghouse. And what's interesting is if you combine our years of experience, that's over 140 years of nuclear experience. So a very powerful combination there that we offer to our Polish colleagues. And all those lessons learned that we just talked about, we've applied them here on Poland. And the project is already receiving, a lot of support, positive support across the board from every faction of the government, including their local communities, and even from the EU. Just recently in December, we just received the state aid approval from the EU decision, which is really about, moving forwards with full throttle on the project, which was excellent. It's definitely an extremely important project for both countries. And they're certainly a great customer. They're a great ally. They've got some great people, and they're a very, very proud nation. So it's really an honor to be helping them.
Wow, go Poland. So I'm interested to know, how is Bechtel positioning itself for, we can both agree on this, what may be an unprecedented wave of nuclear building? You can't just flip a switch, right? Can you speak to lead times on capability?
Yeah, big picture, look, we're very, very committed, not least the fact that nuclear is a big part of who we are, it's part of the fabric of the company and where we came from. Today we've got 3,500 professional staff with nuclear experience. Many of them worked on Vogtle, and we have over 1,500 nuclear engineers really creating a very unique and solid bench. We also know what it takes to scale up the craft workforce. I mean, we just previously discussed that about we're already unleashing American energy dominance on the Gulf Coast with 20,000 of our own craft on four LNG jobs simultaneously. So we know how to attract, how to retain, how to train a large workforce and scale up. And then, we talked about Vogtle units 3 and 4. We stepped in the middle of the construction. We had lessons learned on Unit 3 that applied to Unit 4. We got 30% extra efficiency, which is great. But we also have the lessons learned on Vogtle 4. So that can be applied onto the next unit going forward for even greater efficiency. We've also invested in our execution readiness with our own, what we call our AP 1000 playbook, meaning that we're equipping our teams with the latest tools, systems, and know-how to hit the ground running on day one of execution. We're bringing all the latest in digital execution, fully integrating the EPC so that we can build the next AP 1000 project cheaper and faster. And Dominique, if we can ever get to that nth of a kind delivery, so we can actually start to build a fleet of AP 1000, there's no reason why we can't see the same benefits from replication that we're starting to see in experiencing our LNG markets, for example.
It is abundantly clear that Bechtel is a leader, a well-respected player in nuclear power. So what would you say to your industry peers, utilities, investors, the supply chain partners, about what's needed to make this renaissance a reality?
Yeah, nuclear energy certainly offers the U.S. a level of energy independence and security like no other clean energy can deliver, right? So as leaders at the industry, I think it's not only important to continue to advocate for nuclear technology. That's going to be really, really important. We also need to ensure that these projects are successfully executed. Really, really important. So, the best way of doing that, and I think we touched on this already, is through smart, fully integrated EPC delivery, leveraging all of the lessons learned, including the actual nuclear build experience, using the latest tools and systems, the digital delivery platforms, and AI. And by doing this, what we're really trying to do is help set new standards in execution excellence. Sorry, the lights just got off. In execution excellence within the nuclear industry, and demonstrate that the first projects can actually be executed to cost and schedule, which again is just hugely important for building confidence in the industry. And then the other point I like to make is that we need regulatory commitments and priorities to remain consistent for the long term. This is really imperative and an important catalyst for kickstarting and building what I call the new nuclear ecosystem, so that industry can evolve, that the workforce can start to grow, that the supply base can begin to expand and solidify itself, and jobs can be created. So the opportunities really here do become endless, but really important we get those commitments for the long term.
I absolutely love it. And so it is no doubt that you guys have the experience. When I say you guys, Bechtel has the experience, the reputation that has already built the confidence within industry. But the thing that I really love as someone who's an advocate for workforce development in the energy space is that you are also enabling your workforce and your future workforce to be confident about hitting the ground running through tools like that AP1000 playbook. That is amazing. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah. So, Felice, this has been an amazing talk. I must admit, it has gone by way too fast. So before we wrap up, what do you want every listener to walk away from this conversation believing or doing? And if you could plant one idea in someone's head today, what is it?
I say that today we definitely have our moment, right? Everything, all the stars are aligned. We've got increased energy demand from the industry. We have policies supporting nuclear. Both industry and governments are betting on energy security, which nuclear can support. So I think it's about, we really need to deliver, and we need to deliver today. And more importantly, we need to deliver responsibly too. So that's the big takeaway from today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I am very hopeful. And I must say this conversation with you, increases my excitement around maintaining the momentum regardless of who is in office, right? So Felice, again, thank you. This has been genuinely clarifying for me in many ways. And I hope that our listeners are more informed and they walk away with a ton of clarity as well. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Dominique. Thank you.
What Felice laid out today is the full picture. Yes, the policy moment is real. We have 4 executive orders that were released last year, the biggest federal nuclear push in generations. But the Renaissance doesn't happen in Washington. It happens in Wyoming. It happens in Georgia. It happens in Poland. It happens because people like Felice Presti and the thousands of engineers, welders, pipe fitters, and project managers show up and build it. UCAN Power, we exist to accelerate exactly what we talked about today. Advanced reactors at scale for national defense, for global energy security, for a cleaner future. If this episode moved you, here's how to act on it. Share this episode and follow Advanced Nuclear wherever you get your dose of podcasts. I am Dominique Cooper, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on Advanced Nuclear, powered by UCAN Power. If this episode brought clarity to the future of American energy, share it with someone shaping policy or industry. I'm Dominique Cooper. This is the moment. This is the movement. See you on the next episode.